Welcome back, everybody, and today I'm going to show you how to paint armor again. Sometime last year I showed all of you the TMNT painting technique. That involved mixing regular paint with metallic paint to get the best of both worlds. You get the reflective characteristics of metallic paint in the highlights, but are able to add more contrast by mixing in regular paint and dulling the metallics in the recesses, so adding shade and color and less sheen. And then not too long ago I showed you another technique, a classic technique of using metallics and washes, ink washes in this case, to build up color but let more of the metallic shine through. What we are going to do today is actually combine those two techniques. We're going to mix regular paint with metallic paint, but rather than literally mixing them together, I'm going to use them as washes. So we are going to purposefully dull our metallic sheen, because in shadows you don't want a whole bunch of shiny reflectiveness, and also add color at the same time. So I began with a base coat of Vallejo Model Air black metallic and added about 50-50% steel and black metallic and did a quick dry brush highlight. And that's all of our highlighting for this miniature. I'm going to do this pretty much using the exact same colors that I used for the TMNT technique. So we are going to go from green to blue to violet. So we start off with our scurvy green. You can see on the palette there how thin the paint is. Kind of think of this as a glaze more than a layer. And that is a good way to think of it, because we are layering this on, slowly building up the color. About 3 coats, I'd say. This is going from the deepest recesses into the base coat area. This is our first color transition from our regular steel black metallic. And as I'm applying this, not only am I adding color to the armor, I'm also dulling it, because the paint, the binder in the paint obscures more of the metallic sheen than inks do. So with each coat I'm putting on, I'm making the armor duller and duller, and as you'll notice, we're going to go deeper into the recesses with each different color and build up those coats so we have a nice kind of dark shadow without any shine in it, and just leave the reflectiveness on the highlights. And here we are after about 3 coats. This is on a pretty broad area of the miniature, as I said, from the deepest shadows up to the base coat. And by the way, I do know virtually all this color is going to be obscured by our next coat. Decided to try it here just because I used it in the TMNT technique, and I wanted to try it again here using, again, the exact same colors for the most part. Our main color is going to be Midnight Blue. Now, previously I used Stormy Blue for this, but Vallejo's got a Vallejo and they don't make Stormy Blue anymore, so I wanted to try the Night Blue. This is going to be our main color because it works so well with our metallic, blue, gun steel, that type of color, just very natural. And this is working from, again, the deepest shadows, not quite into the base coat, basically just the shadow region. And if you thought the miniature was too green before, that's why we can over green it, because the second layer is going to turn things blue. And again, this color is slowly built up, about 2 or 3 layers, until I had enough of the metallic covered up and enough of the blue applied. Basically, I just kept going until I was happy with it. And here we are after about 3 coats of our Night Blue. You can see our green is pretty much gone. Like I said, I expected that to happen. If I was doing this the same way as the inks version of the tutorial, I think it's perfectly fine just to use blue and violet here. Again, painting, learning, it's all about trying new things, so I decided to try it here. And last but not least is our violet. This color can be a little bit thicker because by now we've really built up that paint color in the recesses through the green and the blue. And this color is only going in the deepest recesses, so now, at least in theory, we should have green, blue, and violet. So we're following the color wheel, going in the proper direction from those three colors, our Roy G. Biv, and ending up with violet at the end. By the way, this is one of those techniques where it's far easier to explain than to show. You're probably thinking, well, the explanation of this is fairly simple: green, then blue, then violet. It's the long part, and the hard part is actually applying them. And it really depends. It can be very easy or it can be very difficult. It depends on what type of armor that you're applying this to. If there's a whole bunch of tiny little plates and a whole bunch of scroll work, it's going to take a much more time than it is if you have basically planar armor. It works faster with planar armor and also gives you more wiggle room as to how much color you can apply because you're not stopped by segments. You have flat surfaces that you can slowly build up and get the colors where you want. While I said we were done, that's not quite entirely true, to be honest. We still have to paint the rest of the miniature, of course. In this case, just some belts, skin, a few little odds and ends. The reason why we want to paint the rest of the miniature before going back to the armor is because the actual very last step is a dark line. And in this case, my dark line is just black paint used as a pin wash. And we're just going around between any plate segments, anything that should be separated from the armor, around the belt, in between like the armpit or around the shoulder pads, anywhere where a plate separates from another plate. And the reason why we wait till the rest of the miniature is painted before doing this is because, I don't know about you, but I don't paint perfectly, and if paint gets somewhere it shouldn't, there's no point in black lining and then getting some leather brown into a little cavity somewhere, and then you have to redo it. So just paint the rest of the miniature and then go back to the armor. Do all your dark lining just once, all at the same time. And there is our finished paladin. I call him Fred. So what we ended up with is a very dark color scheme for our armor. Because I started with that black metallic, the darker your base coat, the less of whatever you put over it, whatever color you put over it, is going to shine through. Just like a swath of red over white as opposed to over a black base coat, the white is going to make that red look much more pronounced and the black is going to hide it. Now comparing it to our book guy that was painted with inks, I wasn't really planning on comparing these two, but figured what the hell, we'll do it here. The book guy looks much more intense, mainly because, well, partly because I used a lighter undercoat. I think I used gunmetal on him, but also on top of that lighter undercoat I also used inks, and the inks let more of the metallic shine through rather than darkening it. However, the techniques used here are exactly the same. All I did was put a whole bunch of washes down over metallic. The only difference is the materials that we used. We did start with a different color base coat and also paints over inks. So if you figure out how to do this the first time, congratulations, you already know how to do it the second time. And it just matters what type of look you're going for. If you want something with a bit more pop, go with the inks. If you want something a bit more gritty and applying a bit more color, you can go with the paints. So I think that is good for now. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. Get out there and paint more miniatures. And have a good day. Bye-bye.
This is a job for Weenie Man. Into the Weenie Mobile. Weenie Man away.